Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of the Bitcoin News Show right here on the CryptoCast Network. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for so much for joining us yet again on this beautiful Sunday, or for whatever it is for you guys, because of course we are global here on YouTube. So just want to thank you guys for joining in. We have some great topics that we're going to be going over today. Some big topics, actually, some big topics like Facebook and some geopolitical status here of crypto and things like that. So really excited to get into it, guys. But before we do that, we are sharing our CryptoCast.network website where you can find links to our YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and iTunes as well. We just recently had a podcasting host change. They essentially kind of dropped us and deleted our back catalog, so we had to go ahead and create our own account there. So we have our new account there that you guys can find links to as well, and we're going to be back on iTunes next week. So you guys can check that out. And then we're also screen sharing some merchandise if you guys want to check that out. And if you guys do like and appreciate content like this, we would very much appreciate for you guys to check out our donation address there on CryptoCast.network. Of course, this is a community-supported YouTube channel, so we very much appreciate any feedback and any donations that you guys give us. So thank you so much for that, guys. So with that aside, let's go ahead and stop the screen share and get right into your quick bits section. There's a few things I want to go over with you guys before we go into the main three topics. First, just right away, I just want to give a big shout out to the Bitcoin 2019 conference, guys. We were just there. A couple of us on the show that you see here were there as well, and it was really just a great time. Just a couple of quick takeaways, guys. It was there was a lot of people that I was talking to there were very privacy focused. The knowledge guys were there, of course, and so just almost everybody I talked to was kind of in this really on board with this new phase of Bitcoin, this new privacy phase, and so I'm really excited about that. Lots of young Bitcoiners there. There was lots of people with children under the age of 5. I tweeted that out, and again, guys, that's just really bullish. All these people are going to be growing up with Bitcoin, and it's going to be with the spirit of entrepreneurship and privacy, and it's really going to be great. So I'm excited about that. And then really finally, there was just a whole lot of economic activity there, guys. Like really, there was a lot of people with businesses there. There was a lot of people with successful businesses. There was a lot of new businesses being started, and so it was just very bullish. It really reminded me of the 2014, 2015 era where everybody was just really excited about the possibilities of the future. So again, guys, you can check out the Bitcoin 2020 conference tickets right now, and I think they've already sold a bunch of them already, guys. So make sure you check that out. Bitcoin 2020 conference.com, and I think I'm really excited about going back next year. So that was in San Francisco. Make sure you guys check that out. And then it appears, guys, that the pro skater Tony Hawk is a true hodler. For at least 6 years, he actually tweeted out that he has been riding Bitcoin for 6 years and hasn't bailed yet. So thought that was pretty cool. Of course, a bit of a hero for me, a bit of a skater when I was young. And of course, I played all the Tony Hawk games when I was young. So really a big fan of that. So that was really cool to see. And then we have an anonymous Chainalysis, guys. An anonymous Chainalysis employee has done an AMA. Or so, it could be anybody, right? But that's what we're being told that it is. So make sure you guys check that out because it has some very interesting points of views from the Chainalysis company, particularly their fear of mixing services like Wasabi Wallet and Whirlpool and things like that. So I'm really excited to see those Chainalysis guys be on their toes because, of course, what I believe that what they're doing is highly unethical. But we'll see what we can do with some of this new technology that's coming out. Then Binance, guys, has cut off the U.S. They have cut off the entire United States to their main exchange, and they're now opening up a KYC version with just a few limited assets. I think only Bitcoin and Ethereum. We all knew that was coming, so that's probably not such big news. Then we have Liquid. They have launched support for clightning. And they've launched a swap tool complete with a GUI interface to execute atomic swaps. And they've launched integration with the Green Wallet, where users can now store, send, and receive LBTC and issued assets. So again, guys, Liquid just moving right along, releasing GUI apps for their tools now. GUI versions of their tools now, integrating into the Green Wallet. So this is just moving forward fast and furious. Really glad to see these guys continue to push this network as it is, I believe, going to be pretty awesome. Again, a really big competitor for things like the Swift network. So this is really cool. Again, Liquid is just so awesome, guys. You got to check it out. Confidential transactions. Anybody can create assets. It's really cool. Then we got Bitcoin. Bitcoin's hash rate, guys, has hit a new all-time high again, and is up 2x since the 2018 lows and over 10x since June 2017, which is pretty crazy. Now we have Benny of the BTC sessions, guys. You got to check that out. Mr. Benny P. He's got a YouTube channel. And he has recently created a awesome Wasabi wallet tutorial. So if you guys were confused about CoinJoins or want to see a demo of it, maybe or just want to know a little bit more information about it, make sure to check out his review of the Wasabi wallet. He's got a lot of great tutorials on that site. So make sure you check that. Of course, guys, I got the links to all this stuff in the show notes below. And then Samurai has released Whirlpool version 0.70. Pretty awesome because it has Tor support, native Tor support, more privacy focused stuff, guys. Let's see. Then we got, let's see, I'm moving along here. We got Cambridge. They have released a new Cambridge Bitcoin Electricity Consumption Index. Take that with a grain of salt, guys, because obviously we know how difficult it is to actually calculate these types of things. There's just so many variables, but they've seemed to have done a pretty decent job and are kind of moving the ball forward with that. So that's pretty interesting. And then finally, guys, just a quick word on Bitcoin and privacy. I just want to let people know because, there's some people that get mad about people trying to push things like, cash, the Bitcoin Cash app and things like that. And when really, guys, I just want to say that there is many ways to buy Bitcoin. There is KYC ways and there is non-KYC ways. And I just wanted to recommend a few places here to get Bitcoin. In Canada, guys, you got Bull Bitcoin. In the US, you got Cash App. In the EU, you got HODL. And then globally, we got things like BitBucks and the Bisq network. And then you can actually buy vouchers, Bitcoin vouchers with companies like Azteco and Fast Bitcoin. So there's just a whole lot of ways, guys, to get Bitcoin. And there's going to be more and more ways in the future, both KYC and non-KYC. Of course, here we will only try to recommend the non-KYC way. So with that aside, guys, let's go ahead and get into the introductions. Bit of a long section there, but really I wanted to have a lot of stuff to say there. And I'm really excited to introduce you guys to the panelists today. So much good stuff, guys. So much good conversation is going to come out today. So I'm really excited. So let's get right into it. We got Mr. Matt from Crypto Voices. Matt, how you doing today? Matt, say hi, man. Got to unmute.
Sorry. Hey, guys. I'm just going to quickly show myself here. I'm on a rooftop in Tel Aviv. It's a pretty baller view, but I think I'm really slow on the Wi-Fi, so I'm going to turn it off for the rest of the interview.
Yeah, man, it's beautiful, beautiful. I wish we could see that thing throughout the whole podcast, but no, it's the Wi-Fi unfortunately is not going to allow that, so we'll do audio only. But thanks, Matt, so much for joining us, guys. You got to check out his podcast, of course, Crypto Voices. This guy's great. He's got a lot of great information, a lot of great podcasts, and everything he moderates, guys, is pretty awesome. So make sure to check out Matt's stuff there. You can, again, guys, find links to all these guys below. And then we have Mr. Marty Bent from the Tales from the Crypto podcast. Marty, how you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
Tales from the Crypt.
Really glad to have you. Tales from the Crypt. Yeah, I say, I in my head, I always say Tales from the Crypto. I don't know why, but Tales from the Crypt podcast, guys, check it out. Marty's on there. He's got a great show over there at the Bitcoin 2019 conference. So make sure to check that out because that was live as well. So a lot of great content. Thanks again, Marty, for being on. It's been a while, man. So I'm really glad to have you back on here. Yeah. And then we got
to be back on.
Yes, sir. And then we got, of course, guys, the special guest of the show, the man himself, Mr. Sergey, the CEO of BitRefill. Sergey, how you doing?
How you doing, man? Happy to be here.
Yeah, really glad to have you on here, man. We've had you on, of course, a few times. You guys are doing some amazing stuff over there at BitRefill. I do want to get a little bit of insight of what you guys are releasing at the end of the show. But, man, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Cool. Happy to be here.
All right, so let's get into the topics, guys. We've got a lot of stuff to go over. It's been a few minutes already, so let's go ahead and get into it. The Facebook, of course, guys, everybody's been talking about it. Facebook's Libra has recently been announced by Facebook, and they are kind of unsettling governments, guys. We got the Congresswoman Maxine Waters is calling on Facebook to halt the cryptocurrency plans. We've got all sorts of different European people in Europe sort of getting upset about this launch. So let me ask, let's go, Sergey. Sergey, let's go with you first. What is your take on this? Maybe you can explain a little bit about what you think Libra is, and because people are kind of getting confused. Is it a cryptocurrency? Is it a stable coin? So go ahead and tell us what a little bit about Libra and your thoughts on it.
Well, I mean, first and foremost, shall we take a moment to pause and reflect on the fact that not yet released white paper version of a big company currency is actually making central bankers nervous all over the world. We've gotten pretty, we will discuss Libra, of course, of all of its properties, but we've gotten to a very interesting time where it seems like they're more afraid of Libra than they are of Bitcoin. I maybe wouldn't agree with that analysis, but it's still interesting that we're getting to a point where where heads of central banks are asked to give their opinion on the launch of a new crypto project.
Yeah, it's absolutely fascinating to see the world kind of get all sorts of crazy over a white paper, right? Like Facebook didn't actually release any code, didn't release any, anything like that. It was just a bit of a white paper. So maybe again, Sergey, so maybe you can give us some of your thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, my thoughts about it are mixed in a lot of ways. Like, I subscribe to generally a view of the whole crypto space as a little bit like it's like the course of the universe is to go towards higher entropy, right? And so everything that we do in life and everything just causes higher entropy, and that's just the flow of the universe. And I think in a lot of similar ways, like the flow of our times is that we're going towards more and more liquid monetary systems, right? Things become more and more easily transactable, and obviously, I would argue that Bitcoin is like at the end of the stairs there, like the last step as the most liquid of all monies. But I think from like viewing this thing from that perspective, I think that they're they're doing it. They're really shaking things up, and if it is the case that we're sifting flour through a sieve and they're shaking it really hard, then there's a lot of interesting things that are going to come out on the bottom side of the sieve, and we'll see. Like it's super hard to speculate, and my hunch is that they themselves haven't figured everything out yet. That's like my biggest impression from everything I've seen, is that they're trying to simultaneously achieve all of the benefits of Bitcoin with all of the benefits of centralized coin, with actively support of all of the governments and regulators in the world. And I think that they're probably, as they go, they're going to be learning about this stuff, and that this will gradually lead to a higher understanding in Silicon Valley and in Facebook in particular, of like what the different trade-offs are, why Bitcoin is designed the way that it is, why it is the case that Bitcoiners sometimes try to not play so nice with governments, and so on. Like all of these things, I think that as they move towards a launch and post-launch, they're going to realize a lot of this stuff. I guess that is instinctive to, the people that listen to this episode.
Yeah, and they seem to be paying attention. Facebook seems to be paying pretty close attention, because they really have cherry picked kind of some of these features from these various blockchains to kind of create their own unique blockchain, right? But of course, it's not really a blockchain. There's actually no chain of blocks. So yeah, they seem to be paying attention, which is pretty interesting. So maybe let's go with Marty here next. Marty, what are your thoughts on this Facebook launch? I mean, people get confused, right? Is it a stable coin? Is it a blockchain? Is it a cryptocurrency? I think we've seen a lot of the more smarter people in the space, smarter than me, already commented, right, and say things like it would be more of a stable coin. If anything, it's more of a fiat replacement, more of a competitor to Venmo, right? Something like that. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, no, I think it was pretty bold of Facebook to come out and basically try to create a quasi SDR, which is something that the IMF is only allowed to create at this point on the global markets. Like you just mentioned there, it probably would have been wiser for them to come out with like a stable coin that was pretty much similar to Gemini coin and things of the like. And it's actually, I was not expecting the government to snap back this quickly with that letter. And if you read the letter, it's pretty strong language, and it's a pretty bold admission from Congress women and men that these currencies outside of their control can compete and undermine the system through which they govern and make stuff happen in the world. So if anything, it's just been a huge wake-up call for people that have been paying attention that that currencies outside of government control can compete with them and possibly undermine them. And it's funny, it's the beauty of Bitcoin. They can't send a letter to anybody in Bitcoin to force them to stop, to basically put a moratorium on development of Bitcoin. So that can't happen. It was pretty crazy to see how quickly they did it with the corporation trying to create a competitive money.
Absolutely. I mean, it was really, really fast. I mean, we're talking within 24 hours, guys, after Facebook launched, pretty much central banks started commenting, governors started commenting. I mean, it was kind of everybody all at once. And it was very fast. It was within 24 hours. And of course, like you say, Marty, I can't quite do that to Bitcoin, of course, because there is no PR department. There's nobody to send a letter to. So it's just so fascinating to see that, the Bitcoin's been around for 10 years. Nobody seems to care a whole lot. And then within 24 hours of Facebook mentioning something, of course, everybody gets a little bit scared. And again, it was just a white paper that was announced. There was no code. There's nothing. In fact, even I think Facebook said they might even, then they might even not launch. Right? They might not launch this thing at all. It might get completely canceled. Now, I don't foresee that happening. I think Facebook is really going to push this in whatever way they can, buy out whatever regulators they need to buy out, and just push this thing forward, because I think they do want to compete with the central bank. So it's going to be interesting to see the corporation. So let's go to Matt here from Crypto Voices. Matt, I mean, Andreas recently had this video come out where he kind of named this kind of three-prong currency war now, because remember, it used to be just the central banks versus, central banks and government fiat versus crypto, right? It was kind of the people's money versus government and banks. But now it seems that with Facebook launching in this, now do we have this third prong now? Is it now this three-prong war where it's corporations versus governments and central banks versus crypto? And, if that's true, kind of how do you see that playing out?
Yeah, well, I certainly agree with Marty and Sergey and everything that they said there, and what you just said as well, Vortex. It's interesting to see central banks reacting so strongly and so quickly, especially after, like you said, Bitcoin's been around for 10 years and nobody really has taken notice. I would phrase it a little bit differently than Andreas, and in the spirit of sort of what we usually talk about on our show is sort of not to be too boring and academic, but try to phrase it economically about what the Libra is or what it appears to be. And it's certainly not anything close to what Bitcoin is, which is basic money, or money that functions at the lowest level of the monetary system. So Bitcoin absolutely is that. Gold and silver was that. Today in the monopolized fiat world that central banks use, the paper notes. There's other parts too, but we don't need to get into that. Literally the paper notes, the paper yen, the paper yuan, the paper dollar, the paper euro in your wallet, or what you pull out of an ATM, or what is in a shop. That is basic money. Anything that floats around in the digital space is not actually basic money. And the Libra is not even close to basic money. So the Libra is definitely, I would say, closer to like a credit card than it would be to Bitcoin. And that's fine. It is interesting to see how central banks and banks are reacting to it. But the basic economic functions of how it will work are much closer to a credit card. So a credit card is actually 3 claims and no basic money transacts. So you have, when you make a transaction, you have the merchant's bank, wants some money. You have Visa and MasterCard with that's a bank. They're seeing some money go around. And then you have your bank, which Visa and MasterCard is going to request some money from once you make that transaction. So there's 3 banks, 3 different claims in a credit card transaction. Basically, the Libra could maybe take out one of those. So instead of a claim on a claim on a claim, which a credit card transaction is, you could have maybe a claim on a claim. And that would basically mean that, you and the merchant, you can both accept Libra, you can like it, perhaps, maybe it would be something that is desirable. But whoever is managing this blockchain, right? So Facebook, it's 30 partners or whatever, how many banks come involved. The blockchain itself is a claim system. It's not that asset. It may be able to settle some debts and whatnot, but it is going to be backed by something else. So the first level, you're trusting whoever that first level is. Obviously, we all know it's a permission blockchain, but Facebook, whoever's running that blockchain or whatever it is. That's one level of claims, and it may be more direct than a credit card company. It may be very fast. It may work better than Venmo, but that's one level of claims. But then if you wanted to get whatever was backing that Libra, and presumably they might allow it, like, okay, so we're backing it by a basket of assets. Maybe you can, if you want some dollars for Libras, you can get them. Then you'd have to make some other transaction. You'd have to take Libras out of your wallet, get dollars on your bank account screen, but even there, that's M1 money. money as well. And then, so that's the second level of claims. Then if you wanted to get base money, you'd have to pull dollars out of the bank. So basically, that's a long-winded way of saying Bitcoin remains basic money economically. It's an asset. There's no final claim. There's no further claim. It's final settlement. There's no interest on Bitcoin. It's just an asset. It's basic money. And then the Libra might cut out one level of claims that credit cards have. So it might make it a little bit faster, a little bit better, but it's still a claim on a claim, I would say. So that's how I would describe what it is.
Yeah, so claim on a claim, right? So it's obviously completely doesn't compete with Bitcoin at all. All right, so Bitcoin is, like you said, like you described, and like of course I have tweeted on pinned to my Twitter profile. Bitcoin is the base money. It really has no real competition except for gold and central banks as a settlement system. And there's of course nobody trying to create another Bitcoin. There's only people trying to create various stock type of things and various things that they call blockchain, that of course we have no meaning for what the word blockchain means anymore. So yeah, it seems when these three go up against each other, Facebook's money and then the government fiat, and then you have Bitcoin underneath that, it seems if these are the three that are going to compete, that the base money, of course, the hardest money wins, right? If you believe in Gresham's law, then the hardest, most open, most decentralized money seems to be the one that's going to win out. So that's going to be interesting to watch play out these three things. Because remember, like Andreas was saying, where if you think JP Morgan is bad, right? If you think the Bank of International Settlements is bad, when they kind of come into a country, like imagine Facebook coming into a country. It seems that the corporation might be even more evil possibly than the Bank of International Settlements, because again, they have to adhere to things like international monetary law and maybe some things like that, where Facebook as a corporation, they seem to be able to just kind of do whatever they want. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Let's go to Sergey. Any final thoughts on this topic?
Well, I think it's it's really cool that we have currency competition now. That there are and the regular currency is a claim on the central bank of that country. This currency is a claim on a company or on a consortium of companies and so on. And it's already if you just take the list of currencies of the world, take the fiat currencies and you throw in all the cryptocurrencies and you throw in the Libra and you rank them on order of most trusted to least trusted. Which one would you rather have your paycheck be in? And probably the most trusted would be the US dollar, and somewhere at the bottom you would have the Venezuelan bolivar, and you have the whole scale in between. And where on that scale does Libra land? Where does Facebook land? Where does Bitcoin land? And it's kind of already that they are both on that list and competing. Probably most people in the world would still prefer a US dollar, but let's take 5-10 hops. How about Russian ruble? Now we're talking, right? Maybe a lot of people would rather have a Bitcoin than a Russian ruble, and maybe other people would rather have a Libra. And I think that if we've achieved a world where it's now okay for corporations and consortiums to compete for the role of being money, then that's already a step forward from a world where only governments can do it. But I also think that this development, as we've seen already, may very well be the thing that taunts the government enough to start taking action. Because it's been a little bit, when Bitcoin was created, everybody expected regulators to be hostile right away, and they didn't really care that much. They cracked down upon some things and so on. But as a whole, Bitcoin is still going, and people started doing bolder and bolder and bolder things, and ICOs and scams and fundraising and this and that. And even that, it was allowed to a large extent. And now Facebook is okay, we declare ourselves money now. And the government is okay, too far, right? And so who knows? Maybe it is the case that they taunt the government enough to get into this fight. And if it is the case, then there could be, potentially repercussions for Bitcoin as well. But it could also be that we find out for sure, establish regulatory clarity, as it's called, on certain things, because clearly, the US government can't go after somebody who's only doing something that Facebook is already doing. So at least we will know, if the Libra launches and if, nobody goes to jail for it, then we will know that doing things that they do is legal. which today is sort of a little bit unknown, let's say.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a really great point where we'll have some kind of clarity on a few different things. If they actually do launch and are allowed to launch, that will bring all sorts of clarity. So I think we can move more forward with regulations because, like you say, I mean, regulators sort of didn't really pay too much attention to us. Yeah, they shut down the Silk Road. Oh well. I mean, but beyond that, it's very, very, very blurry. It's Bitcoin is a different in the US. It's a different thing to each different agency, and so maybe this will sort of unify that regulation, like you say, Sarah. Maybe bring some more regulatory clarity because the world. I mean, the Bitcoin is here; it's not going anywhere, so the world will have to deal with it. And it seems like it's been kind of like trying to, maybe push that can down the road a little bit instead of having to deal with Bitcoin right now. They're pushing down the road, but hopefully, Facebook might be that catalyst to really bring that into the forefront, and as we'll talk about in our next topic. Marty, any final thoughts on this subject?
I don't think I can add much to what's already been said. Very thorough discussion so far.
One quick question, Marty. Do you think, just in general, do you think that it's going to affect Bitcoin, or do you think Bitcoin's going to affect it?
It's a good question. Bitcoin's pretty indifferent towards it. If anything, it would, in my mind, just help bring the concept of a competitive currency to the fore of people's minds, which sort of opens the door through which they can be introduced to Bitcoin and approach it with a more open mind, in my opinion. So maybe it won't affect Bitcoin, but it'll affect people's view of Bitcoin and its status as a competitive currency on the global stage.
That was a trick question. Libra wouldn't exist without Bitcoin. Okay, let's go to Crypto Voice. Matt, what is your final thoughts on this topic, man?
Nice. I like it. Yeah, I would just say a little bit of additional info to what Sergey was talking about. Bitcoin this quarter. So again, monetary base is how you would evaluate Bitcoin versus other currencies. Bitcoin just this quarter passed South Korea to be number 9 in fiat currency ranking. And if it gets to about 14,000, at about 14 grand, Bitcoin's going to pass Russia. So that would be that Bitcoin would go to number 8. It would pass Russia's monetary base once it gets to it, and it stays, let's say, above $14,000 per Bitcoin. So just a little FYI there.
Pretty fascinating to watch Bitcoin tip up, and up. And of course, it's even more fascinating to know that people like Trace Mayer and Max Kaiser were calling for this way back in 2011. I definitely did not have that kind of foresight, or else I probably would not be doing this show with you guys. No. But yeah, it's pretty fascinating to see, guys. Bitcoin continues its march, on the world dominance. And of course, speaking of that, let's go ahead and move on to our next topic. But before we do that, I just want to say, guys, if you are new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you guys are enjoying the show, make sure to share it out. Make sure to hit that, smash the likes. We really appreciate it. And of course, if you guys enjoy content like this, definitely think about hitting that donation link over there on cryptocast.network. So let's move on to the second topic of the day. It's pretty crazy, the geopolitical state of crypto. I wanted to talk a little bit about it because there was so many articles kind of coming out at the same time, many of them even today. I mean, we have the Bank of International Settlements, saying central banks may issue digital currencies. We have the FATF issuing guidance, which the G20 is now supporting. So we have all these things going on. We have Bitcoin outperforming every other asset class, in 2019 in the US. And then we have the Eurozone, the PMI, the Purchasing Managers Index falling steadily. We have the Deutsche Banks pretty much collapsing in front of us, maybe laying off 20,000 employees soon. And then we have the new ECB. Boss Christine Lagarde saying that cryptocurrencies are shaking the system. And so, with all this unrest, I wanted to get sort of some of the commentary of what the panelists think about this. So, Sergey, let me ask you, I mean, do you think that the European central banks, or a collapse in the European central banks, might be a catalyst for the next global recession? Or how do you see this playing out?
Oof, I don't know, man. That's a tough question. I think a bit above my pay grade. Yeah.
Well, just a couple thoughts. Okay, just a couple thoughts about Bitcoin sort of playing out with all of these regulatory things coming down, like the FATF. Like, how is Bitcoin going to thwart or go around this?
Well, I don't know. Like, it's we talk a lot about how resilient Bitcoin is, and it's it's resilient, but the resilience is only at the core protocol level, right? And if we look at everything else, or not everything, but a lot of stuff is vulnerable, right? And what would happen if it becomes that the Americans decide that exchanging cryptocurrency is illegal now, like suddenly, and all the companies that do that are forced to shut down or leave the country and so on. Like, we don't know, and I don't know. I'm sort of, I guess I've always been of the class of people who sort of prepares for tougher times in terms of Bitcoin. Yeah, and so it is absolutely a possibility. I mean, especially if it starts. You saw the letter that they sent to the Libra guys. Like, if Bitcoin, and that's just for a white paper, but if it becomes evident that Bitcoin is causing a risk on that level to nation states, then maybe it is to be expected that they're going to be a lot more hostile. And what that happens, well, it's speculative, what things they can crack down upon, which things they can't. Probably things that are regulated would probably be the first to go, because they're already regulated, and the regulators can just change. Things that are currently not regulated, well, yeah, probably safe for a while, but then maybe they will be regulated as well. Who knows? Like, it's and probably, I don't know, somebody said something about that, Bitcoin will need to be banned before it becomes useful. So it's not unthinkable that we will need to go to a type of, I don't know if war is the right word, but at least a little bit of an underground type thing. We'll see. Like, we'll see. I don't actually think that any of this is going to play out like this, but it is. It's a concern. It's a danger that's there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's interesting to see because, like we've been talking about here, we've been having a relatively nice honeymoon period with governments around the world. So it may be the case that they may crack down. I think that personally, I think that the Bitcoin's incentive structure is going to be a little bit too strong, and really hopefully prevent some too harsh of regulations from being put down, because it'll simply be in the pockets of too many people. And so I think that's part of Bitcoin's, of course, superpower, right, is its incentive structure. So I'm hoping that something like that sort of takes hold and maybe prevents too harsh of regulations from going down. But like you say, anything that they throw at Bitcoin only makes it stronger. So we would have, like you say, we'd have to go underground for a while, for a couple of years, until we just completely eat every other market, and then they have to sort of come crawling back to us. But yeah, very interesting point. Marty, let's get your thoughts. I mean, with all of these things happening around the world, do you think Bitcoin is now really becoming a truly real safe haven in front of everybody's eyes?
Yeah, I'll be bold enough to go out and say that. I mean, the Financial Times wrote about it earlier this week and said it in a headline saying that, hey, Bitcoin may be acting as a safe haven. I believe Tyler Cohen of Bloomberg came out with a similar article last week, basically saying cryptocurrency and Bitcoin aren't going anywhere. And yeah, I think the topic that really doesn't get talked about a lot is like the psychological effect of these geopolitical macro situations playing out. So right now, you mentioned Deutsche Bank earlier. It's the biggest bank in Europe, biggest bank in Germany. The German 10-year bond is trading at like negative. Is trading negative right now, which is a very bad sign. And it looks like there's a good potential by the end of the summer that we enter like another global recession like period. And I think basically exactly a decade after 2009, 2008, 2009, excuse me, 11 years after 2008 now, just psychologically people going through this economic depression or recession again is going to again cause a lot of people to question the system that they're in. And Bitcoin has many things playing in its favor. One being that it is a good safe haven, and the fact that it is a sound money, it is a sound monetary good. It is your slice of the pie is never going to be inflated, so it has that fundamental going for it. And then two, it's a new idea that hopefully people will be open to after they get basically stepped on by the powers that be, and they go through another economic disaster only a decade after 2008. And I think after 2008, obviously we had to Occupy Wall Street. There was not anything real tangible that people could turn to outside of hitting the streets. And now in 2019, we have a 10.5-year-old Bitcoin that's been around and proving itself and may draw the attention of people who are sort of jaded by the traditional system.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that are jaded by the traditional system, and I think people are going to really underestimate that too, because in a couple more years, like we say, 15-year-olds, right, will have never known a world without Bitcoin, and so they're about to open a bank account. I mean, what are they going to choose? Are they gonna go through all this crazy KYC and ask their parents and have all the parents' permission and all these identifications and all these papers and stuff to go create a bank account that their parents can have full access control over, or are they just going to like download an app? I'm pretty sure they're just going to download an app. So, we'll have to see how that plays out. But it's very, very, very telling how everything that we're doing here is digitizing. And of course, money is the last thing to go. And when you've grown up with nothing but digital assets around you your entire life, they're going to be very, very familiar. So finally, we'll go with Matt. What are your thoughts on this, Matt? I mean, on the geopolitical unrest. I mean, do you really see there being a global recession next year? Do you see the European central banks possibly being a catalyst? Do you see people moving into Bitcoin? What are your thoughts on the discussion so far?
Yeah, just one thing. I thought Marty might have had one more thing. I don't want to.
Oh, sorry, Marty. Did you have
something?
I was going to say, in regards to Deutsche Bank, I think it's hilarious that they're spinning out a bad, like a toxic asset bank for bad assets. Like, who would ever invest or do business with that?
A bad bank.
Yeah.
What the
Deutsche Bank's at a point where they basically have to create another company for all their bad assets, which is not a good state to be in.
Not at all. Not at all. So sorry. Go ahead, Matt. You're up.
Yeah, well, just about state of the economy and the state of what Bitcoin means in that landscape. I'm always very cautious to make any predictions like that. I think it's many years leaving the wrong thing. If you were a gold bug in 1979 when gold was screaming toward $800 an ounce, you would have thought that like you had won and this is the way of the world, and you predicted it and everything was great. Meanwhile, we went on a 20-year market in stocks, and then gold plummeted for 20 years. But that's more cyclical and other things as well. But I mean, obviously we're changing. The topics we've just been talking about are very important in the concept of the digital age, which is changing every day. Everybody knows about. But I think we saw it with what was his name, Brad Sherman, a couple months ago from California. He said it most direct. It's like Bitcoin threatens the power of the Federal Reserve. It threatens the power of the ability of the U.S. financial system to basically form the way they want it to. And that is a strong statement for, who knows who he's been through, what he's trying to make. You got to start these things in gently into but those that can do more. And there have been other rumblings, as you mentioned, around Europe and other places trying.
Hey Matt, FYI, man, you are starting to break up. So we'll try one more time. Go ahead. Just the last 15 seconds.
Up. All right. Maybe right or down.
No, you're breaking up. Maybe we'll have you switch.
Okay. So I was just saying that
we'll try one more time, Matt.
Maybe you should.
Nope. That's how we do it live, folks. That's how we do it live. So we'll just go to Sergey. Final thoughts on this topic, Sergey.
Thanks. I think that all of the things that if we imagine, and I'm not saying that it's going to happen, that regulators will become more hostile to Bitcoin. But all of the things that we would be doing in such a scenario, you know, like again, all of the building the circular economy, figuring out ways for people to get Bitcoin, to spend Bitcoin, to sell Bitcoin, and figuring out ways for this thing to survive without, you know, without the big companies that require government permission. If we start doing all of these things right away, even before it is problematic, and I think that the intro that you gave was really good in that regard. You know, if we start working on distributing all of the things, you know, right away, and building a Bitcoin that is much more consistent of you know, a million small entities rather than a handful of large ones, then by doing that we could also probably discourage you know, the regulators from getting involved in such a fight in the first place, right? So I think that things like you know, and again, the rule of thumb is that the services that are required to use KYC and this register identity of the users. That's a good rule of thumb for which types of services it is that are in that category that are regulated by the government, and the services that don't require it is also a good rule of thumb for things that will be more resilient in case of turbulent times.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the market plays out. Are we going to get some just huge big players and, you know, a tail end, or are we going to actually, you know, just have a million little companies, like you say? It's going to be hard to tell because, I mean, the pie is just so massive and so huge, right? And it's if you, and every single time we've seen in his history, if you get too big, you will get KYC'd and, you know, shut down if you don't comply. Like we see it happen every single time. So maybe that will, like you say, discourage companies from maybe getting too big in the future in the crypto space. We'll have to see how it all plays out, but it's going to be fun to watch it play together. And of course, as Matt said, you know, Brad Sherman, I mean, man, gave the absolute biggest advertisement for Bitcoin in history with that particular speech that he gave. So maybe they'll start to wake up to the threat that really Bitcoin is. But, you know, we'll have to see how that plays out. So thank you for that. Marty, final thoughts on this topic, and then we'll go to Matt. Hopefully Matt's connection is better. Go ahead, Marty.
I think the regulators are behind right now, and we again, like the honeymoon period with the regulators that you mentioned earlier, take advantage of that as much as possible. And again, spread the message, like financial privacy is something that should be a human right. Like we shouldn't be afraid to push back on these regulators and these people trying to implement these things on us. Like the more people speak up and the more prominent people speak up, the better chance we have at curbing this encroachment of our human rights. And I'm a huge believer in financial privacy as a human right, and people shouldn't be ashamed or worried about campaigning for those rights in the digital age.
Absolutely. Very well said. This is, you know, the future. Like, I mean, the universe has been said all the times in cryptography, right? But the universe is clearly skewed towards privacy. Otherwise, it wouldn't allow for mathematics that can't be broken, right? So very, very awesome stuff. Thank you for that, Marty. And let's see if we got Matt here back in the voice chat. Matt, how you doing?
Yeah, sorry guys.
There we go.
Hotel Wi-Fi, you never quite know.
You never quite know. You sound good now, though.
Perhaps. Yeah, it should get even better. I'll just do a couple quick comments there. I'm not sure exactly where it broke off before, but just to tie up what I was saying regarding, you know, obviously all the regulation that's come onto the scene, and with India specifically banning, and I think I missed some of the latest chat there, but even if it all comes and we do get into this sort of state versus the market scenario that Eric Voskuil paints, and I don't think it has to get there. It's not destined to get there, you know, to this sort of panopticon nightmare scenario. But even if it does get there, obviously, I think we can look from lessons of other technologies that usually the technology, the privacy, everything else is always faster in the market than it is with regulations. And I just see no reason why Bitcoin would be any different. And clearly, just the speed of all of the other regulators, that the way that they speak about these things, their knowledge, their technical knowledge of everything, it's so much slower. So it doesn't really bother me in the long term regarding a lot of these issues. That's probably all I'd say. And I'm going to run to another spot as well in the hotel.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks for that, Matt. Let's go on. I think with that aside, guys, we can go on to the final topic of the day, which is Lightning's latest. So we got a bunch of different things happening. We got Zap going on mainnet, the Zap wallet. That's Jack Maller's wallet. We got LND launching their latest version of their mobile wallet. That, of course, is for iOS and Android. And again, that's on mainnet as well. And then we got Casa launching a pretty cool app that's currently in beta. So it's not for everybody, but it's really awesome. It's called the Sats app, and that's going to be pretty interesting to see. Allows you to connect very easy to use Lightning Wallet on your phone to your Casa node anywhere in the world. So we have all of this stuff happening with Lightning, and of course we have one of the greatest companies doing stuff with Lightning with us here today, the CEO of that company. We got Sergey. So let me ask you, Sergey. So what is maybe a couple of comments from you, basically regarding all of this activity around Lightning? You guys have launched a few Lightning products yourself. What are you seeing? First of all, I want to get your thoughts of, are you seeing more and more people using Lightning on your service? And then also just your thoughts about where we are in general with Lightning.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff is happening. It's really cool, and there's even more than the stuff that you mentioned. There's in the blockchain camp, there's been releases, and there's some type of Lightning for Liquid coming up, and so on. So there's a lot of interesting things happening. I think that we're seeing a lot of excitement when it comes to usage. Yeah, I mean, we're still. I was actually just checking if the Zap thing was for iOS as well or not, but I'm guessing that it will be. If it isn't already, it is.
It is
right.
absolutely iOS on mainnet.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, I mean, in my world, if it's not mainnet, then it doesn't exist. I got into trouble the other day with somebody who was like, "Yeah, but that and that wallet exists." I'm like, no, if it's not mainnet in the app, then it's not for me. But we are now at the point, and we're seeing Electrum is going to release Lightning in the wallet shortly. We're also seeing rumblings about different exchanges looking to integrate Lightning. And once that happens, then I would argue already that we're at the point where why would you install a wallet that's not Lightning, right? And so we're kind of already getting to that. We're not entirely there, and then there's going to be the whole update cycle of old wallets, same as when how cars are updated when the old one is not good enough anymore. But we are getting to that point now where it can all go on Lightning, and that's it's incredibly exciting. The only thing that I really am missing is I want 3 exchanges on Lightning. That's my personal goal, because once there's 3, then transactions between those will be instant, and people will understand how much better that is. And from then on, all the other ones are going to follow suit, and then we get to the point where where all hot bitcoins are on Lightning right away. I actually think that we will see that within not that long. So yeah, I have a personal goal for our companies to have a quarter of all transactions happening on Lightning by the end of the year. We'll see how we do it towards that. It could be even more than that. What we've seen with Lightning is that it grows in spurts. So it's and this far it's been because it has in different steps enabled new groups of people to try it out. So it was the first mainnet command line Lightning implementations, and some people tried those out, and then there was for desktop, and some people tried those out, and then there was for Android, and some people tried those out. Now we have iOS. All right, then a lot of people are now going to be trying those out as well, and then we're just waiting for the rest of the ecosystem to get on board with this upgrade. So I'm as excited as I've ever been about this stuff, and just trying to play our part in furthering this technology and making it the standard as fast as possible.
Absolutely. Was it you who wrote the article for exchanges to get on Lightning? I can't remember if it was Creme de la Crypto or if it was you, but there was an article I'll have to put in the show notes where getting exchanges on board.
Stewart who wrote that article, and I may have tweeted it with some pumpy words.
Who was it?
Chris Stewart.
Okay, Chris Stewart. Yeah. Oh, yes, it was Chris Stewart. Yeah.
And but I also did a presentation at the Bitcoin Ops, which is now on YouTube somewhere. And that is, experiences, but also like between the lines, why exchanges should get on board with Lightning as soon as possible. Once that starts really spinning, a lot of interesting things are going to happen.
It's great to see the spin wheels, because see that's a spin wheel that you mentioned, right? Exchanges using Lightning, that's going to spin up another flywheel. It's going to spin up another flywheel, and on it goes. So absolutely great points, Sergey. I mean, you guys have to go and check that out. If you guys want to just Google just Lightning for exchanges or Lightning and exchanges, there is a couple of great articles, one written by Chris Stewart, that really breaks it down for exchanges specifically on how to get on board with Lightning. So I think that's, make sure you guys check that out, because there are some great, fantastic articles out there that just do all the hard, heavy lifting for you. You just have to sort of integrate it into your pipeline. So very great points there. The 3 exchanges, that would be great to see. If we can get 3 exchanges by the end of the year using Lightning, that will be awesome. Very awesome to see. So let's go to Marty. Marty, your thoughts on this? Because I mean, like you said, we have so many things happening with Lightning. Now, I just want to preface, of course, Lightning is still in beta, guys, right? There's still limits and things like that, but yet still, there is so many things happening. I believe that it's scheduled to be out of beta next year. But what do you think, Marty? Do you see the ecosystem? Because of course, you're in this every day, just like the rest of us. Do you see the ecosystem becoming bigger and bigger with Lightning? Do you see more and more people onboarding Lightning and using Lightning for different services?
Yeah, no, it's been incredible, and let's give a proper shout out to Sergey and BitRefill for opening up the first One Bitcoin channel. Shout out to you guys for doing that. It was awesome. And then, my view is like Zap in particular, their newest releases. I'm a Zap user. I use Zap on my iOS phone every day for tftc.io, the site that we run. And yeah, we have some Lightning compatibility on our site. It's just been getting easier, and more people have been using it throughout the month. So we launched the site in May, and I'm getting at least 100 invoice creations a day for Lightning on the site, which is pretty cool. And then, so the specifics of the L&D upgrade, the watchtowers and child pays for parent are added. And these are 2 watchtowers. Number one, like, just creates a huge disincentive for people to act bad on the Lightning Network. And then child pays for parent compatibility just makes it more useful. So I say a lot on my podcast and in my writings that this stuff, we're not going to get all this stuff out of the box. Like, we're not going to get Bitcoin at the protocol level as it's not going to attain the price level of the store value that it will be overnight. It's going to take years, and the protocol is going to take years to develop. And likewise on Lightning, it just takes time, and the progress has been up and to the right in my mind, and it's becoming more useful and easier to use every day. And like Sergey said, that'll just start bringing more people in as the optionality grows. Then people have more choices. They'll come to find that, hey, this is probably the better choice when interacting with the Bitcoin protocol, just naturally. So it's just something that'll play out over time, and it looks like it's happening pretty naturally.
And it's great to see the ecosystem adopting it more and more. You see that it is really organic growth. I mean, this is not top down, guys. This is people experimenting. This is companies taking risk, and this is companies, really, really becoming successful because they've taken that risk. There's so many things to see, guys. Like what we see right now, just this year alone, is just so many wallets launching on mainnet. That alone, guys, is of course a huge, huge, huge step. As Sergey said, if it's not on mainnet, really, it's of course not going to be used for consumer grade software. So when we see all of these all of these wallets now starting to launch on mainnet, not just launch on mainnet, but launch really, really beautiful, clean interfaces on mainnet, really some stuff that can really kind of compete with Venmo and PayPal and such. It's really, really, really exciting times. And especially when you start seeing them work with these proof of concepts, like you see at conferences. Like I did a video where I was showing a proof of concept of paying for video games with Lightning, with instead of a 25-cent quarter hole, they replaced it with a QR code, and you can just scan your Lightning code or scan your Lightning wallet, and then bam, be playing the game. So I mean, guys, think about it. Everything is already QR coded. When you just slap Lightning on top of that, it's going to be really, really easy, and people are just going to get it because they are very, very familiar with things like Apple Pay and things like that. And again, we've said this for years too, that things like Apple Pay and Venmo, PayPal, they were just a precursor to prepare people for Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin was always going to be inevitable, so they were just simply, in my mind, just precursors to prepare the world for what's to come, which of course is this digital based money that is accessible by anybody on the planet. So I'm going to. I also want to say one final point, which is that, guys, it is the price too that brings in these waves of people. As Sergey mentioned, people come to Bitcoin and Lightning in waves. It comes in late; it doesn't come all at once. And so part of that economic activity is driven by the price. Because I hear a lot of people that are like, stop talking about the price, only talk about the technology. But of course, I got news for you guys: we don't get adoption for that technology without the price continuing to rise. Right? Bitcoin, of course, just needs to rise, just in general, just to keep the security going. So that's a big part of it, and people get that confused. Of course, Max Kaiser and other people have the great sayings, something like, Bitcoin is the world's greatest, economic money wrapped in a Ponzi scheme, right? So it's funny to see how many people have these different perspectives. But again, guys, like Matt said, we are moving, or like Marty said, we are moving up and to the right when it comes to Lightning adoption, in my mind. So, Matt, final thoughts on this topic, the Lightning's latest.
Yeah, sorry again, guys, about the connection issues earlier. I should be good, and I think even with video, I should be good where I am right now.
Totally smooth.
I was very excited about the rooftop view before, but in any event, just a couple things on Lightning that I would say here, maybe tangential to some of the concrete things you're saying again, but back to we're talking about the the claim on a claim on a claim, which basically what a credit card is. 3 different parties trying to claim money, none of it is base money like Bitcoin. During a transaction. There's a quote that Peter Todd made on Twitter a while ago, which I thought was always a very apropos way to describe this economically. He said, he was responding to someone who's sort of steel manning an argument for Lightning. He was trying to, to pull it back a little bit and to treat it realistically. He said, okay, so Lightning, it's definitely not quite an IOU, but it's also not completely under your control. So just make sure that you understand that, there are certain situations where, for the security and technical reasons, which I wouldn't be able to understand, it certainly acts different, like a Bitcoin transaction. But at the same time, obviously, it compared to a bank IOU, which is a bank deposit, right? Like an M1 deposit is when you have your checking account. If you want to restore your base money status for Bitcoin, I mean, it's like night and day different from a checking account, right? I mean, it takes you how many seconds to withdraw your Lightning, your Bitcoin on the Lightning network to your own wallet as a UTXO on the blockchain. So that is really, really powerful and really exciting. And I've always been super excited for Lightning and all the developments. And I mean, it's not surprising that it's growing and people are getting excited about it. But it definitely is important to note. It is slightly different. I really like the way that Peter Todd described it in this tweet. He just said it's a middle ground state. And I would say that that's true. Like, we've never had anything economically that works like Lightning. The currency is not backed by Bitcoin or pegged to Bitcoin. Is just locked Bitcoin, and only because of the technology, like the state of the digital age, like we can do that. Like we can't do that with a normal, like the fungibility of cash doesn't work that way in a bank account. With Bitcoin, it works that way. It's incredible. It's an incredible state where you can basically, you don't peg it or you back it, you just lock it. And then from there, you can do all sorts of crazy things. And yeah, you're giving up a little bit of security, but if you want, it can take you a matter of seconds to get it back to your own, UTXO that you control, like on the blockchain if you want, like the basic money. So that's always been really exciting. I think the wallets, as I'm sure you guys have just been talking about, like the development is incredible. And there's no problem with any of these developments, like economically or whatever. It's just it's really exciting to see the developments, and yeah, I'm super excited about it.
I think what kind of blew me away this year just alone is how fast how many wallets went to mainnet. Like, I was just sort of really not expecting that maybe till the end of next year, till the end of this year, where just everybody would kind of be launching that. But it all happened towards really mostly the beginning of the year and into the summer. Just about every single Lightning wallet, now is on mainnet and iOS and Android. Like, that that is from there we can build this base of this new consumer economy, right, with Bitcoin. So that is really, really interesting to see. Again, just so many things launching so fast. It is hard to keep up, guys. We try to do our best, but I just want to, I guess, put the final point for me is just, again, guys, this is early days. Lightning is still in beta. Bitcoin is still only 10 years old, but there's just so much economic activity happening that that the excitement, I think, really matches that 2014, 2015 early vibe, except on a really big scale now. So that's really cool to see. So I think we can end it here, guys. Let's go ahead and give an outro, find out where we can find out more information about you guys. So go with Matt first. Matt, where can we find out more information about you, sir?
Sure. CryptoVoices.com is the website. Talks a lot about base money, as we always do. Me and Fernando, CryptoVoices.com/base money. We have a lot of details on the state of the monetary base in the fiat world and how Bitcoin compares to that. Also gold and silver. CryptoVoices.com/base money. And then CryptoVoices.com, you can find our podcast as well with Fernando Ulrich.
Yeah, check that out, guys. A lot of great content. I mean, freaking many months of content. And what's great about that content is that it's kind of timeless, really. Like, because this is economic information. This is information that can serve you well, 5 years ago or 5 years in the future. I mean, it's really great. The guys, the information you guys pump out. My, of course, favorite part about it is Bitcoin as that base money, man. This is what they have. I think they have the correct lens, guys, of seeing Bitcoin, which is, again, this base money, this monetary system that is outside the control of the state, that can really truly compete with this central banking cartel. Marty, where can we find out more about you, sir? Mr. Marty Bent.
Yes, you can always find me lingering on Twitter at Marty Bent. And then I guess, all my content is on tftc.io. Marty's Bent is a daily newsletter that I write about Bitcoin and other philosophical macro musings. And then Tales from the Crypt, obviously, it's a podcast I have. We have an interview series, and then I do a weekly topical show with Matt Odell, a rabbit hole recap. You can catch that all on tftc.io. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, man, it was awesome. Great time, guys. Check out those podcasts. Lots of good stuff. Marty, I don't know how the hell you write every single day that newsletter, but you do it. Make sure everybody check that out. Lots of great information in that, and lots of great insight as well. Sergey, your company, man, Bitrefill, is absolutely freaking killing it in the Lightning space. You guys are pushing the technology forward. You guys are making it easier and easier for people to use Lightning. Maybe you could just give a quick, maybe 30, 60-second spiel on what you guys have launched. Because there's just so much, I can't even keep up with it. Just a few things of what you've launched, maybe what you guys are looking forward to in the future, real quick.
Sure. Well, I mean, first of all, you can pay for everything on Bitrefill with Lightning. So you can buy gift cards for any of the 1,000 top brands in the US and Europe, a lot of other places. And we're going to roll out the gift card support all over the world. And of course, there's the phone refills and things like that. In the past couple of months, we've been releasing the Thor suite of utilities that make it easier for the regular person to get Lightning channels to their wallet and to use Lightning in the non-custodial, non-trusted way. We've lately created a utility so that people who have their coins on Coinbase can withdraw straight to Lightning. For example, without paying the high transaction fees that are charged to their users. We've built, I guess, maybe one of the more interesting things is that all of these utilities that we've built are all available in an API, so that if you're a developer, if you're running an exchange or a wallet or just playing around with stuff, then you can get access to all of the Thor's products. At this point, you still got to send us an email to get an API key, but we're relatively liberal with those. So just reach out on Twitter or on through the web. And I guess the only thing I want to say is for everybody is like don't listen to the thought about it being scary and dangerous and so on. And if you haven't tried Lightning already, try it out. Try it out with whatever amount of money it is that you're trying stuff out with, and try buy something and try use some of the services that are out there. If you run into trouble, you can ask us for questions. We help customers a lot. That's actually even how we develop our new products for the Lightning spaces, through feedback like that. So that's what I would ask for people. And you can find Bitrefill on bitrefill.com. You can find it on Twitter or at Bitrefill. If you misspell it, I'm sure Google will correct it. And myself, you can find on Twitter as at Zigamon, Ziggamon. And Twitter will also correct you, I think.
Absolutely, guys. Don't be afraid of Lightning, guys. It's new and scary, but don't be afraid. It is easier than ever now. Check out Jack's wallet. Just download Zap. Check out Bitrefill. That's a great place to make your first Lightning transaction. They make it really easy. Again, guys, utility after utility. Freaking Bitrefill just keeps launching, just keeps making it easier. If there's a problem, they try to make a utility to solve it. And then they have a freaking API for developers to take advantage of that as well. So make sure you guys check this out. Bitrefill, guys, it's a company that I encourage everybody to start watching and paying attention to in the space. They're doing amazing things. And so again, Sergey, thanks so much for being on the show. Thank you guys so much for being on the show. Really appreciate it, guys. When we say keep stacking sats, we are serious, guys. Lightning Network is a great way to keep stacking sats. It shows sats as the native the native actual amount that you have instead of Bitcoin. So it's really great. This is how we stack sats. This is how we get sats to more and more people, is with things like the Lightning Network and amazing services like Bitrefill. So thanks again, guys, so much for being on the show. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much for everybody in the chat. Had a great time. Only had like one troll that we had to kick today, so actually pretty good, not too bad. So really again, if you guys, wherever you are, please make sure to check out CryptoCast Network when you guys get a chance. We do have the Twitter account at CryptoCastNet, and we do have more and more shows coming down the pipe. In fact, we are going to try to start getting more and more shows on the channel by the end of this year. So stay tuned for that, guys. And so until next time, please keep talking Bitcoin, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.